Huawei is a secretive, very powerful firm within China. It quickly became the biggest maker of telecom equipment in the past couple of decades. After dominating that market, it became the biggest, bigger than Ericsson and Cisco. It became the biggest smartphone company in the world, surpassing the likes of Samsung and Apple.
Huawei says it has made breakthroughs in a number of fields, including artificial intelligence and operating systems. The Chinese tech giant made the claim Friday. It also said it had taken the company just 10 years to do what the US and Europe took 30 years to achieve.
Everyone knows that Huawei is facing great difficulties. Continuous suppression has brought a lot of pressure on our operations, and ensuring our survival is our main priority.
What if we told you the fight against Huawei isn't really about technology? It's about control. Yes, control over the future of innovation, global power, and, let's be honest, the rules of the game. Huawei, the Chinese tech giant, didn't just show up and compete. It started winning, and that scared the US. But here's the thing. Every sanction, every restriction, every effort to slow Huawei down has done something unexpected. It has made the company stronger, smarter, and harder to beat. So, what's going on here? Let's find out. Let's take a trip back to 1987. Huawei wasn't some tech giant back then. It was a small Chinese company with big dreams. Its founder, Ren Zhengfei, didn't start with flashy ambitions to dominate the world. He just wanted to make reliable telecommunications equipment. But here's where things get interesting. Huawei didn't just stop at reliable. It became innovative.
Many people may believe that, and you have to start small, and this is also how Huawei basically started. Very, very small. 1987, Shenzhen, in an apartment, no R&D, almost nothing.
For most people, they think that Huawei has come from nowhere, when in actual fact it's taken Huawei 30 years to get to where they're going.
4岁创造这个华为的时候，应该是任何经验都没有。
Fast forward a couple of decades, and Huawei wasn't just competing in the telecom game. It was rewriting the rules. While other companies were taking small, cautious steps, Huawei was leaping forward. Its secret? Pouring billions into research and development. By the 2010s, Huawei wasn't just a player. It was the player in 5G technology. Now, why does 5G matter? Think of it like this. 5G is the backbone of the future. It powers everything. Smart cities, autonomous cars, AI, you name it. And Huawei didn't just make good 5G infrastructure. It made the best. Faster, cheaper, more accessible. It built networks in over 170 countries. And that's where the US got nervous. You see, for decades, the US was the leader in telecommunications. But Huawei's rise was different. It wasn't just about business. It was about a power shift. Suddenly, a Chinese company was shaping the future of global connectivity, and the West wasn't in control. Cue the accusations. Espionage, ties to the Chinese government, threats to national security. Were these claims true? Hard to say, but that wasn't the point. The real issue was dominance. Huawei wasn't just succeeding, it was succeeding in a way that made the US feel like it was losing. So, what do you do when a rival seems unstoppable? You try to stop them. The US unleashed sanctions aimed at crippling Huawei. But here's where the story takes a turn. Because those sanctions, they didn't work the way the US hoped. When the US hit Huawei with restrictions, it didn't hold back. The goal was clear. Cut Huawei off from the tech it needed to survive. Chips, banned. Software, blocked. Google services, bye-bye. It was like shutting off the oxygen to a tech company.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome. As you know, politicians in the US are using the strength of an entire nation to come after a private company. They are using every tool they have, including legislative, administrative, and diplomatic channels. They want to put us out of business. This is not normal. Almost never seen in history.
Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel for more videos about China's development, power, and influence on the world. Let's continue now. At first, it seemed like a knockout punch. Huawei's smartphone business, which relied heavily on Google's Android ecosystem, took a major hit. Without access to American-made semiconductors, Huawei's ability to produce its flagship products was in serious jeopardy. The headlines weren't kind: Huawei's decline, the end of an era, and so on. But then something surprising happened. Huawei didn't collapse. Instead, it adapted. First, it launched Harmony OS, its operating system to replace Android. And let's be honest, creating a new OS isn't easy. But Huawei pulled it off. And here's the kicker. Harmony OS wasn't just a knockoff. It was sleek, functional, and most importantly, free from US control. Then came the boldest move. Huawei started making its chips. Now think about this for a second. China wasn't exactly a leader in semiconductor manufacturing at the time. Chips were a weak spot. But Huawei didn't let that stop them. They poured money into research, partnered with Chinese tech firms, and began building a new supply chain from scratch. But Huawei didn't stop there. They pivoted to new markets, particularly Africa. While Western companies largely ignored the continent, Huawei saw an opportunity. Africa needed affordable, reliable 5G infrastructure, and Huawei delivered. By the time Western firms realized what was happening, Huawei had already become the go-to partner for digital transformation in Africa. And here's one more twist. Huawei started licensing its patents to other companies. Think about that. Even in countries where sanctions limited Huawei's operations, its technology was still in demand. The company made sure its innovation stayed relevant, no matter what. So let's recap. The sanctions were supposed to cripple Huawei. Instead, they pushed the company to innovate, adapt, and grow. But here's the bigger question. Did these sanctions hurt Huawei more, or did they hurt the global tech industry as a whole? The US didn't just sanction Huawei, it disrupted the entire global tech ecosystem. And the consequences? They weren't exactly what Washington had in mind. First, let's talk about semiconductors. By cutting Huawei off from American chips, the US triggered a global semiconductor shortage. This wasn't just a Huawei problem. Suddenly, car manufacturers, smartphone companies, and even gaming consoles were scrambling to secure chips. The ripple effect was massive, exposing just how fragile the tech supply chain was. And then there's China's response. Instead of backing down, China doubled down. The government poured billions into building a domestic semiconductor industry. And here's the wild part, it's working. Chinese companies are now producing advanced chips faster than anyone expected. What was once a weakness is quickly becoming a strength. But the impact didn't stop there. The sanctions deepened the divide between the US and China, forcing other countries to pick sides. Are you with the US, or are you with China? The result? A growing geopolitical rift that's threatening to fracture the global tech industry. And here's the irony. The sanctions that were supposed to weaken Huawei ended up strengthening its resolve and pushing China towards self-reliance. The US wanted to slow down Huawei's rise, but it may have accidentally accelerated China's tech independence. So, what does this mean for the future of technology? To answer that, we need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. This isn't just a story about Huawei. It's a story about power, competition, and the future of technology. At its core, it's a question of who gets to write the rules for tomorrow's world. On one side, you have the US, trying to hold on to its decades-long dominance in tech. On the other, you have China, racing to redefine the game. And Huawei, it's caught in the middle, but it's also shaping the battlefield. Think about what Huawei has accomplished. It didn't just survive sanctions, it thrived. It built its ecosystem, dominated new markets, and turned adversity into opportunity. It's a testament to what resilience and innovation can achieve. So here's the big question. Is Huawei a villain, a victim, or a pioneer? The answer depends on who you ask. For the US, Huawei represents the fear of losing control. For China, it's a symbol of resilience and strength. And for the rest of the world, it's a reminder that the game is changing. This fight isn't just about Huawei. It's about power, influence, and the future of global technology. The US started this battle, but Huawei is shaping how it ends. And the way things are going? It's not just surviving, it's setting the stage for what's next. The real question isn't who wins today, it's who will define tomorrow. Will it be about dominance or resilience? Huawei has already shown where it stands. The only question left is, are we ready for what comes next? We would like to take a moment here and appreciate you all for commenting and sharing your opinions. Your insights always impress us. Do you think the US sanction can ever work on companies like Huawei? Why doesn't the US make a company as competitive as Huawei? Let us know in the comment section. Is the future under China's hands? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to get exclusive videos about how phenomenally China is developing and growing its influence over the world. Until the next video, stay tuned.